Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to this new video. It's called What is Specialty Coffee? That's a great question. There's a lot of terminology that's thrown around in the coffee world, and this is one that comes up a lot, specialty coffee. What exactly are we talking about? Well, the first thing I should differentiate between is that there are two broad categories, right? You have specialty as opposed to commodity. In simplest terms, specialty coffee is harvested and cultivated for its flavor notes and with the emphasis on quality and clarity of flavor. Commodity coffee is cultivated, harvested for caffeine, right? It's just to get you awake. Within those broad categories, you also have another distinction, which I should clarify. We have Arabica and Robusta, and those are the two kind of main branches of coffee that you'll encounter in the coffee world. Again, Robusta is mainly cultivated for its caffeine content, not for its flavor, and the opposite is true for Arabica. Okay, so leaving commodity aside, let's focus on what specialty coffee is and why it's considered specialty coffee. So, first of all, you need to understand that coffee is a very, very difficult and fickle plant. It takes a lot of very specific conditions to help coffee thrive and grow and produce an actual exportable yield. There's a region of the world called the Bean Belt. It's between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, and within the Bean Belt, you have to have altitudes at above roughly 1,000 meters. You need a very specific slope of soil, you need a very specific rain and sunshine schedule, and you need a very specific composition of soil to allow the cherries to produce sweet, juicy fruit. So not every country within the Bean Belt has those conditions. That's why you see a lot of coffee coming out of places like Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Indonesia. Those regions have the criteria necessary for coffee to thrive. Now, within those regions, there are sub-regions that are more conducive to either Robusta or Arabica. And that's why you see, for example, almost all the coffee that comes out of Vietnam is Robusta. Almost all the coffee that comes out of, say, Costa Rica is Arabica. So we've got these two types of coffee. Now, specialty pretty much only deals with Arabica since it is focused on quality of flavor and clarity of flavor. So to produce coffee, let's start from the very beginning, right? You have a seed and you plant that seed in the ground. It's going to take roughly 3 years for that seed to grow to the point where it can produce cherries. A farmed coffee tree is about 5 feet tall. It can grow up to 15 feet, but you don't really want it to be 15 feet because that's not practical. So we're talking about 5 to 6 feet, and it's going to grow to around 3 to 4 feet in diameter. And that tree will produce anywhere from 1 to 2 pounds of cherries. Those cherries will then get processed down to anywhere from half a pound to a pound of dried roastable beans. So a cherry tree does not produce that much coffee, so you need a lot of space to do this. So another reason we talk about specialty coffee versus commodity is that is based on a grading and a quality distinction. There is a 100-point scale that we use to identify what is considered specialty coffee within the Arabica, within the Bean Belt, all these things. So anything below 80 points on this 100-point scale is really not going to make it into the specialty world. That's going to be relegated to commodity coffee. Even if it's Arabica, even if it's from the highlands of, I don't know, Avalon, the most magical place in the world. If it's not scoring high enough, it's just not going to make it into the specialty world. So we have our 80 points and above, and honestly, if you find a coffee that scores higher than 96, you should just buy all of it and it's going to be delicious. So we're really dealing with 80 to roughly 96 points. That's a pretty wide spectrum though in terms of flavors, in terms of dynamism, in terms of intricacy and interesting notes. There's a lot you can play with. So, by the way, that scale is roughly based on the Specialty Coffee Association's cupping spreadsheet, which I think there's a link. I'm going to ask Victoria right now to put a link here to the Specialty Coffee Association's cupping chart and protocol. I don't know what we're going to call it, but that's the thing, and it's here. And I'm going to draw the box right here for you to put the thing in. Anyway, so 80 points and above is specialty. Okay, so let's talk about growing coffee. With commodity coffee, you can grow it in a flat farm, you can grow it with no shade, you can run a combine harvester over top of it and just pull everything off the tree. It doesn't matter because, again, you're going for caffeine, not flavor. With specialty coffee, you need to pay very close attention to how the bean is developing on the tree. So if you imagine a branch with a bunch of clusters of cherries, or they kind of look like grapes if you want to think of it that way, they all need to be a certain shade of red, which indicates their level of ripeness or maturity. They're not all going to turn red at the same time, so what you find is you have farmers going through their fields multiple times during a harvest season, pulling off the cherries that are the correct ripeness. So it's a lot more labor intensive than just a harvester going through and taking everything off the tree. So that's the first round of quality control beyond planting, the right crop and the right species of coffee. Once you harvest the cherries, then they go through one of several different processing methods. You can have a natural process, a honey processed, a fully washed, wet hulled. There's a lot of different terms, which we'll do another video on at some later date about processing methods. But basically they are removed from the cherry fruit, so you just have the seed, and then they're dried, and then they're milled, which is taking off sort of this papery parchment that's on the outside of the seed, and further sorted for quality, defects, insect damage, that sort of thing, and then sent off to roasters around the world. So there's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into getting the beans to the roaster, right? There's 3 years of growing, there's about 6 months to a year of actually harvesting and milling and processing and drying and sorting, and then it gets shipped out, and then the roasters spend a lot of time perfecting their roast, cupping it, tasting it, tweaking it, and making it perfect for your cup. So it then gets to you, the consumer, and whether you're getting it from a barista or brewing at home, you can really do a lot of damage to the brew, or you can do it really well and make a delicious cup of coffee. And so you'll need to understand brew methods, which is another video we're probably going to do at some point in the future. So hopefully this was enough to kind of answer those questions about specialty coffee and what it is. If you have more questions, you can always go to our website, crema-coffee.com/learn. We have a lot of stuff on there. You can check out Instagram or our blog, or you can email hello@crema-coffee.com. And we'll try to answer your questions. It's probably going to be me or Maggie or Victoria. It's probably going to be me answering your questions about coffee. It's exciting. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, press this button, Q. I don't know any of the buttons on YouTube. I'm not sure. But thank you again for watching, and please enjoy a cup of crema coffee today.